Hey, everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Jay's for Justice, and I am your host, Jay. Welcome back. It is Saturday, and we had nothing planned live, and our girl, Jess, who has been in the courtroom for us all week and plans on being there at least a few days next week, sent me this video from 8 months ago, and Vinny sat down with Crystal Sorey, Harmony Montgomery's mother. And we're going to walk through this together. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to watch it with you guys. And then I'm going to upload this, premiere it with some chats, say hi to y'all, because I miss you. When we're not in trial, I miss you guys. I've kind of gotten in this system of, being live every day and chit-chatting with you guys. So hopefully we can chit-chat in the premiere. But let's get into today's video.
Photos that we've never seen before. And let's focus right now on the times that Harmony was happy and what that was like, what she was doing, and what you remember.
She was just such a kind little girl, ever since she was so little, she was just, they always said the first day she was born, she was like bright-eyed and she stared right at you and lifted her head right up and, she was ready, she was ready for the world. And every person that ever met her said, she's a light, she lights up the room when she walks in, she couldn't stand to see anybody sad or mad. She's just so happy, she loved to dance and sing, and she'd always tell me, Mommy, I'm gonna be a superstar, and she sure is. She loved her brother, that's one thing I can say. She loved being a big sister. At first, she wasn't very fond of it. She was like, oh no, what is happening, but she fell in love with him right away. Right away. She wanted to do everything for him, feed him, and I think for a little while she thought he was a doll. But then I think, I kept having to explain to her that he was not a doll and he was very much a real baby. Yeah,
she's trying really hard to be able to hang on to those good memories, but then she's got the thoughts, and this is just my opinion. It seems like she is really trying to hold on to those good memories, and the good moments she had with Harmony in these pictures she just showed are absolutely precious. Harmony was so cute. But now you see Crystal kind of looking down, and that's probably her feeling guilty and feeling bad about her choices and how things ended up. Let's keep listening.
Just so much life, filled with so much life. We would walk. I was in a program when I had gotten her back. I was always fighting to get clean. That was one thing that she did for me was she made me realize that there was more to life than just the bad things, drugs and parties and, toxicity, When she was born, I realized I didn't want that anymore. And I wanted things to be different. I wanted to break the cycle. So I just kept going to programs, and I tried to make it so she didn't really know. She called it our adventure because I tried not to let her know that this was a sober house, I tried to let her think that this is just where we had to be right now so that Mommy could be better. And she didn't care because she had all these friends and life was as normal as it could be for her,
I had no idea that they lived in a sober house together. I had no idea about Crystal. I'm really glad that Jess sent me this because I really didn't know. And I think there were a lot of really bad comments about her and her testimony and how people felt about Crystal overall.
You know, she was going to school and she had all these friends, and there was always activities going on, always birthday parties and events, and you know, they were always doing these amazing things for the kids, you know. So she was happy, you know, and I just want to emphasize that so much, that like her life wasn't always bad. It was only bad when he got her. She was very much loved by everybody who met her. Like, you know, her daycare people, they still reach out to me, and you know, really anybody that she left a mark on. I'm very close with her foster parents. They've been my family from day one, you know. They believed in me when no one else did, you know.
You know what I'm hearing
Michelle
from you,
fought
Crystal?
alongside me.
You know what I'm hearing?
Yeah. What?
This little girl saved you.
She did. She really did.
But no
She
one
saved
saved
me.
Harmony.
You know, and I was trying to do the same for her. But nobody would listen to me. It was like, I have never in my life felt so invisible.
Well, let's
You know, it was basically
let's talk
you know,
about that, because
that.
I'm a lawyer, and I've gone through and tried to figure out what happened at this hearing where Adam ended up getting custody. And is it true that you were in the courthouse in a different courtroom taking care of another matter involving one of your other children in front of a different judge, and the judge that was handling Harmony's case went forward without you in the room because you were in front of another judge involving your other child?
Yes, actually I wasn't in the same building. So Jameson's case, because he was born in Boston, his case was out of Boston. I had to pick between the two hearings, and it was basically, if I was at either one of them, if I wasn't at either one of them, it was going to go bad for me. So I called my lawyer Frantic in Lawrence, and I said, I sent over from that courthouse to the other courthouse that I was proof that I was there. He said, I will, quote, fight for a continuance. That never happened. There was no continuance granted, there was no continuance fought for, and they moved forward and handed him custody.
What?
So in the same day, not only did my son get adopted, but my daughter got handed over to the one person that I begged them never to give her to.
Guys, I'm speechless and I'm angry. And I'm not angry at her. I'm angry at the system. Whoever her supposed lawyer was supposed to be. Wow. I can't even believe what I just heard. So Crystal was in another courthouse signing the adoption papers so that her son Jameson could go to a stable, loving couple. And somehow they didn't communicate that this mother could only be in one place at a time. Wow. And that was when little Harmony was granted to Adam. Unbelievable. Look at Vinny's face. He's pissed.
There were so many family members that had stepped up. There were family members that had been vetted and still denied. There's just so many things that people don't know, that what really happened. Like, there were family that wanted her. You know, Michelle would have adopted her.
And who is Michelle, for folks at home who don't know?
Foster mom.
Her foster mother. When I didn't have her, Michelle did. That's her other mummy.
Oh, and we heard from Michelle this past week. I'll play a clip of that.
Raftery.
And what's your date of birth, Ms. Rafferty?
9/11/70,
Where do you currently live?
Haverhill, Massachusetts.
And how long have you lived there?
In Haverhill, about 25 years.
Who do you live there with?
My husband and 3 of my children.
And what's your husband's name?
Timothy.
And your children? What
The
are
ones
their
that are home?
ages?
Oh, their ages?
Yes.
Ben's 25, Jaden is 14, and Claire is 13.
And do you have children that live with you?
Those are the ones that live with me. Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a behavioral health partner
And how long have you done that?
for a year.
Prior to that, what did you do for a living?
I was a FRL, a family resource liaison.
And can you explain what that is to the jurors?
Yes, I work with foster parents, and I help support them and run support groups and trainings for them.
Do you have any experience as a foster parent yourself?
Yes, I do. Over 13 years.
And can you tell the jury about that experience?
Yes, we had the privilege of being Harmony's foster parents.
And you mentioned a name, Harmony, just now.
Yep.
Who is she to you?
She was our foster daughter.
What did she call you?
Mama.
Your husband, Tim, what did she call him?
She called him Dada and Papa.
You said that you'd been a foster parent for 13 years?
Yep.
What point in that time when those 13 years did you take Harmony in?
Like probably halfway through. Probably halfway through the years. Yep. So she came to us at 2014.
And tell us about that.
Yep. So you always start off, you get a phone call from DCF, and they tell you a little bit about the child. And Harmony was 2 months old at the time, and she had a pretty intimidating diagnosis at first. So, I did a lot of Google research, but I still knew that we wanted to say yes, and Harmony came and lived with us when she was 2 months old.
Pretty intimidating. What were you told about Harmony before
So
you took her?
we were told that she has hydroprocephaly, which is like a disorder with her brainstem. And we were told that she was legally blind in both eyes, and that she probably wasn't going to live 7 months.
I'm sorry, can you say that last thing?
Yeah, that she probably wasn't going to live past 7 months old. Hydroprocephaly was the original first diagnosis.
You mentioned this blindness.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell us about that?
So at that time, she had a whole team of doctors, and she was considered legally blind in both eyes. However, I started to notice when I would feed Harmony that she would track me with one of her eyes, at least one of her eyes. And, then we went on to get different diagnoses for her.
You mentioned having Harmony since she was 2 months old.
Yes.
What was Harmony's date of birth?
6/7/14.
June 7th, 2014.
That's correct.
What kind of child was Harmony Montgomery?
She was a loving child. She was very sweet, very happy. She was super social. She loved to be with people. We used to joke around with her to leave a sparkle wherever she went, because wherever she went, she left people happy, and you knew that you met her.
How long was Harmony in your care for?
So, which time? We took care of Harmony 3 times. She came back into care 3 times. So for the first time, she was with us for about 2 months. Then she returned to her mother, and then she returned to us. And then she stayed with us for about a little over 2.5 years, and then she went back with her mother, and then came back 10 months later.
You mentioned these disabilities.
Yes.
Was Harmony developmentally delayed?
She was not. It definitely could have been a possibility. She started off with that original diagnosis, and going through testing, she had a neurologist, endocrinologist, ophthalmologist, and we had a whole team of specialists that worked with her, and they changed the diagnosis to septo-optic dysplasia.
And were you taking any steps when she was in your care to treat her needs?
Yeah, absolutely. Harmony had, like I said, a team of doctors, but she also had early intervention workers. So she had 2. She had a nurse that came weekly, and she had a vision specialist that came weekly, and we did all the treatments and the programs that she needed with that.
Was she meeting benchmarks at that time?
She was meeting every benchmark. She was succeeding, yeah.
Ms. Rafferty, when was the last time you saw Harmony Montgomery?
The last time I saw Harmony was December of 2018.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
So, Your Honor, I'm showing the witness what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 97. Ms. Rafferty, do you recognize this?
I do.
I'm going to get close to a microphone so I'm picked up. What is this?
That's the day that they were doing school pictures, and she wanted to have a sparkly blue dress.
And do you recognize the person that's depicted in this picture?
Yes,
Who is it?
it's Harmony Montgomery.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of Harmony as you remember her?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point I move to admit as State's Exhibit 97.
No objection. All right, the ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
And I move to publish at this
You
point.
may
Your Honor.
publish it.
Mrs. Rafferty, do you know someone named Adam Montgomery?
I do. Yes.
How do you know him?
He was Harmony's biological father.
Would you recognize the defendant if you saw him again?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, may I approach him?
Yes, you may.
Showing the defense was been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 101. May I approach the witness, Judge?
Yes, you may.
Ms. Rafferty,
Yes.
do you recognize this item?
Yes.
Can you tell me what it is?
It's Adam Montgomery.
And Your Honor, at this point, is this
It's
a
a
fair
picture, yes.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of Adam Montgomery as you remember him?
Yes.
I move to mark as full, Your Honor, to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 101.
Any objection?
No objection, and we agree that that is a photo of the defense.
Okay, thank you. The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
And I move to publish it at this
You may
point.
publish it.
Ms. Rafferty, was
I'm sorry, Attorney Knowles, would you return the exhibits back to the table when you're done with them, just so that everything remains there unless you're going to use it shortly
Absolutely.
again? Thank you.
Ms. Rafferty, was Harmony potty trained when she was in your care?
Yes, she was. She started at our house, and then she finished when she moved back with her mother.
And how old would she have been at that point in her life?
So at 2.5, going on 3, she was potty trained.
What steps did you take to, you said she started at your house. What
Yeah.
steps did you take to potty train her?
Harmony was very easy to potty train. She didn't like to have, soiled clothes on, and she wanted to be like the bigger kids that were in our house. So she would tell us that it was pretty much Harmony potty trained herself.
You mentioned her mother. Do you know
Yes.
her name?
Yes,
Can you tell the jurors?
yes, it's Crystal Sorey.
And you said that Crystal Sorey finished her potty training?
Yes,
Did Harmony return to your care after that?
she did, yes.
And after Harmony returned to your care, did she have any bathroom accidents?
Absolutely not.
If I could have just a moment, Your Honor. Ms. Rafferty, I don't have any additional questions for you. The defense attorney may.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I know this is difficult, and I won't be long, okay?
I'm sorry, we need to get you a microphone, and we'll figure out the other podium if you want to do that, but we might as well set it up.
I'll just take it over for now. I only have a few.
Yeah, that's fine, if you want to start there.
I've been pronouncing your name all this time wrong. Rafferty?
It's Raftery, yes.
And quite a birthday that you have, too.
That's right.
Yeah. So you said that you had Harmony placed with you 3 times.
Yes,
In between, she was with her mother,
yes,
and then she would be returned to you.
yes.
And how long was the most recent time how long was she with you the last time she was placed with you?
About 10 months.
Okay. And from being placed with you for about 10 months, she went to another foster care?
Yes,
And you felt like she had more needs than you could deliver, so she went to a therapeutic foster care.
no,
Miss Kumba? That's not?
I don't know that other foster parent.
Ah, okay. So she didn't go to therapeutic foster care?
She went to another foster home.
Okay. Not a therapeutic one?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Had you asked that she be placed in a therapeutic foster home?
No.
Okay. She left your home for another foster home for what reason?
It's a long story. Co-parenting a child that has trauma, first of all, is very difficult. Co-parenting a trauma with DCF involvement and co-parenting with them is extremely difficult.
Okay. So Harmony was placed with you 3 times, and that last time she was then placed to a therapeutic foster home.
She was placed in another foster home, yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I
Yep.
did misspeak. Speak. She went to another foster home?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And Tim, her husband, will always be Harmony's real father. The only man that showed her what real fatherly love was like. Truly, she loved him very much. And I want people to know as well that Harmony didn't call Adam Dad. She called him Adam. I really want people to let that sink in. Because,
Says a lot, doesn't it?
you know, I think people skimmed through a lot of
Well,
the OCA report and things
Yeah.
because out of anger, you know?
and again, when I
And
went through the
missed some
history of
things.
this, Crystal, going through the history of this, like in handing Harmony over to Adam, who's number one in another state, there's like no one's questioning or finding out. Well, does he work? Does he have a place?
That's my question too.
Is he a career criminal? Does he understand how to take care of Harmony?
She just looks finally in this interview. This was 8 months ago again. She looks relieved to have someone understand what she's been going through. Because she said in the very beginning, I've never felt so invisible. This is crazy. Before we get into part 2, I wanted to remind all the members and Patreons of the channel that tomorrow is Super Bowl. And that means we are going to be live in Discord starting at 6 o'clock p.m. We have football squares, tons of fun, true crime from Kansas City and San Francisco, as well as keeping up with the game. We hope to see you in Discord tomorrow night. These judges
Does
need
he
to be held
understand
accountable,
How to
right?
take care of Harmony? None of this happened in the hearing.
Nothing. Mind you, you know, I was well aware she was disabled. You know, she was blind in her right eye. She was not technically developmentally disabled because she could talk very well by the time she was 2. I remember people didn't believe me that she was 2. Like, as soon as she would open their mouth, they'd be like, she's not 2, no way. And I'm like, she's 2, I'm serious. Like, I don't need to lie. I'm not going to carry her birth certificate around, but she's, you know, she's 2. She's just very smart girl, you know. And the thing that baffles me is that if Harmony at any point by DCF, law enforcement, anybody had pulled her aside away from Adam and Kayla and said to her, you are safe now, is something going on, it would have been like word vomit. She would have told them everything because she would have knew in her head, I'm gonna be safe now. She was smart. And that's why Adam made sure she never spoke to anyone without him in the room.
So,
And it sickens me. No one ever did that. They never pulled her aside. You know, she was 5. She was old enough to talk for herself.
and at the time this is happening, like you said, you had to choose between 2 courtrooms for 2 different children, and in the other courtroom, you're helping your son be in a great home.
Exactly.
Right? And that's so. Like that's not easy, right? That's not easy for a parent to say, "Wow, I know that I'm struggling right now, but my son, we've got an amazing place for him to be."
for this girl to be able to get herself, I'm going to cry, because for her to get herself into a state of mind, being all of the addiction, the drugs, everything that she's been through, to get her head in a place, and it was probably going to happen where the son was going to be taken or was taken, I don't know, but to get her head in a place where she actually willingly, it wasn't forced, she willingly went to that courthouse and signed her own flesh and blood's life away because it was the best thing for him.
Coming in hot, just like the fajita.
I had a fly in here and I hit the button because it was on my stream deck. I did not need to do that, but I'm gonna have to leave it because it's just it's a Jayism. It was just a Jayism. So anyway, that's how I feel. I feel like we need to be a little more fair to Crystal.
And if I go to this courtroom, I know he's going to be okay. And you did that.
I thought they would give me a chance to go to that court date, like give me a week, just to make it to that court date for Harmony, because I had made it to every single court date, every visit, every class they made me do. I did everything they asked, and they couldn't even give me a continuance.
Yeah, to me that's inexcusable. When you're making a decision about a small child and you are deciding to give that child to a career criminal who has his own substance abuse issues, and you haven't done any sort of background look at what's going on in his life and can he actually take care of the child, that's problematic when you don't have the one person in the courtroom who knows everything and can call into question the decisions.
For sure.
So that decision is made, and I want tonight, Crystal, when you learn those details of what they say happened to Harmony, what went through your mind?
I just remember being in a meeting that morning, and I just kept saying, I knew he had murdered her for something small, something that she would really have no control over. So when they told me that, he had reached over and done what he had done because she had been having multiple accidents, I
Monster.
went up, I jumped up to kind of run out the room to get some air, and I fainted.
Oh my God.
It was it just blew me away, because she had a history of accidents when she was scared or really stressed out, and she didn't understand what was going on. She would have accidents.
This is really hard to listen to. So, little Harmony lived in multiple places. We know that. And she was bounced all over the place. But it sounds like Crystal really knew her daughter. Crystal just had this addiction she was battling. But it sounds to me like when Harmony would get uprooted or, wouldn't understand things that were going on around her, that was when she would have accidents. And it's absolutely heartbreaking to hear. Totally something she had no control over, and that monster beat her for it.
Because it was her way of letting you know something's going on, I don't understand, and I need you to pay attention to me, so I know her history, so when I heard those things, it was how could you fault her for that trauma, that trauma response? She was 5 years old, you were living in a car, it's not there was an available bathroom, and it's not she wasn't terrified of this man already. If this man was punching you in the face for every little thing, would you tell him you had to go to the bathroom? No, you wouldn't. You know, so
Poor baby.
it was just, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. And I kept telling myself, and my family kept repeating, that anything that happened after she was with my mom and my brothers, you know, it wasn't her. I try to tell myself that anything he did to her after, she was already at peace and she couldn't feel it. That's the only thing that gives me a tiny shred of peace.
She has to lie to herself to get peace. I don't think any of us need to be mean to this woman because I think she's already tortured herself. She's already tortured herself. I don't think anyone needs to say one word to her. I don't think it's warranted and I don't think it's needed. I think she understands completely the mistakes that she made. And I don't think anyone needs to remind her. This is absolutely heartbreaking to watch.
Why?
You know?
Why do you think he even wanted her or fought for her or asked the judge for custody of her? It just seems so obvious that it wasn't about love.
She was a meal ticket. He did it because he thought, oh, she's blind. I'm going to get a good amount of Social Security for her. Also, to hurt me. He told me, he said, if I ever get her, you're never going to see her again. And I told DCF this. I told them, you know. I said, that would be the biggest mistake you ever make. Because he hated women. He hated women. He hated his mother. His mother abandoned him. Like, he had terrible history with women. He's a woman beater. Like, I knew that. He used to put his hands on me. Like, I didn't want him to have any type of control over his daughter. I knew. I just knew, you know?
She told the proper people, I can't hold this girl accountable. I can't. You guys got to let me know what you think about this. Let's finish watching.
But I didn't, like, when I was looking for her and I was on the news and I was saying all these possibilities, I just didn't want to believe the worst. You know, you don't want to believe that somebody could look in a child's eyes that didn't choose to be here and do such a thing. He named her. He chose Harmony, her name. I was going to name her Melody. You know? And those are the things that I have to live with, that I have to think about, you know? People don't understand that, you know? I've been put through hell throughout this entire investigation. I've been blamed, bashed. I had people in my inbox telling me I should end my life. I should be sterilized. I should never have children. And I did nothing but everything in my power to get people to listen to me. And it was too late.
Crystal, tell us a little bit more about Adam. You know him better than any of us. And to try to understand who he really is.
I caught that she said his mother abandoned him.
You mentioned that he had put hands on you as well. Like how consistent was the violence that you witnessed, and what would happen just before he would get that way?
He gets set off very easily. He's a narcissist, so he's the type of person that looks for things. Like, he'll look for things. Like, he'll read a text and misinterpret it and think you're trying to be shady, or he'll ask around, be like, oh, when I was at work at X amount of time, what was my girl doing, da-da-da. And if they said, like, oh, I don't know, she went to the store at one point, like, oh, she left and she was cheating, like, he was
He's a psycho.
Really controlling and really, like, just toxic. It was just very toxic. And obviously, like, when you're using, like, we used together. Like, that was our entire relationship. We used. Like, I was high. I didn't care what he was doing, you know? But then when I got pregnant with Harmony, I didn't want that anymore. And when I was pregnant with Harmony, he had tried to murder somebody. He shot this man in the face over some drugs. And when he went to jail, I was like, hallelujah, you know? Like, I went to a program and I wrote him a letter, and I didn't want to be with him anymore. I just said, listen, I saw the true you, and, you know, he was putting his hands on me while I was pregnant. He cared more about drugs, and it just...
He went to jail and she got out and went to a program.
And I believed I went to the program, he went to jail while I was pregnant. It wasn't meant to be. Like, I was a strong believer then that everything happened for a reason. He was just, even when he was in jail, he was in jail a lot of our relationship. I want that to be put out there as well. When I met him, he was on the run from violation of probation, like some prior things he had done.
But you got pregnant by him.
Robbery, something, I don't know. But he was in and out of programs. He would get in a program, the judge would put him in a program, and then he would get a good month or two, get them to trust him, and then he would run from the program. And it was just a vicious cycle. He just did it every time. He would be like, I'm an addict, judge, and they'd put him in jail, and then he'd go to a program.
I was a prosecutor. I've seen those guys. I have seen those guys.
Yeah.
Same routine over and over. And you find these gullible judges. Yeah. And then a judge who would give custody of a child to someone like that.
What judge would do that?
Unreal. All right, Crystal, stay
Who is
there.
the judge?
How they didn't cross.
Yeah. Like,
you know, those two.
It's very simple to do if you ask a couple questions or get a little bit of information before making such an important decision for a child. It's always supposed to be what's in the best interest of the child. Not what dad wants, not what mom wants.
What's best for the
interest
child,
of the child always should drive everything.
Always.
Crystal, stay where you are. When we come back, I want to ask you about...
All right, let's go fast forward to the last bit of this interview. And I want to thank you guys for watching today. If you haven't hit that like button, now's a good time to do it.
But she's in the middle of all of this. She's in the middle of all of it and claims to not know where Harmony's remains are.
Talking about Kayla here.
What do you think?
I had a lot of trouble with her throughout this case because I'm a human. Like, I'm a victim of domestic violence, especially, you know, by him. So I know what she was going through with him. I know, you know. It still is not even a crumb of an excuse. Because if it had to be between me and a child, doesn't matter if it's a stranger, a stepchild, my boyfriend's child, my girlfriend's child, I don't care. If it had to be between me and a child, I'm going to choose me.
That's exactly what we all said yesterday during the trial when Kayla was testifying.
I was actually kind of going through a hard time myself. I was in the shelter, pregnant with my son. You know, just trying to make a way for myself, really. But I had no contact, you know. Like I said before, he had cut me off everything, you know. Even if I would make a fake page or a new page and message them, it was automatic read and blocked. And, you know, so I just started doing my own digging, you know, asking around, driving around, like little things I could possibly do. If I was in Manchester, I would just drive around and to parks I just remember at the visits I had for him, he would always have me meet him at the Dunkin' Donuts on 2nd Street. But I didn't know anything other than that because he was... At the time when I was seeing her, a lot of people don't know, but I was tiptoeing around this man. Any little thing he told me I could or couldn't do, I did, because I knew he would make me never see her again. I knew it. He finally had the control he wanted, and he was going to use it. So until I finally couldn't deal with it, we had the agreement that I was starting a job and I needed to FaceTime for that week until I got my schedule, and I knew when I was going to be able to have my visits with her. We agreed. Right away, the FaceTimes were chaotic, just very chaotic. There was like, you know, he's muting it, pausing it, shutting the camera off, and just every single time she just looks terrified. And he's, you know, I'm asking questions, he's yelling at me saying I can't ask her that, or she's not going to answer that, or, you know, just, I knew in my gut, man, it was all wrong. He was acting erratic, I knew he was getting high. And there was just nothing I could do. I was being told by this DCF worker that I was a bitter baby mother and I was mad because he had moved on. Not because he was acting crazy or she,
Wow.
you know, hadn't gone to school, hadn't seen it.
Wow, this kind of sounds just like how Adam's lawyers tried to paint Kayla. As jealous, as bitter. Is this Adam's MO? Is this how he gets people to believe that these women are the crazy ones and not him? What did he convince DCF of? Why would DCF ever even think that they can talk to her like this? This is a problem. Whether or not she's struggling with addiction or whatever her issue is, for them having to be involved in her life and in her child's life, that is uncalled for. Isn't DCF supposed to try to get families back together? And it sounds like she was doing all the programs. She was doing everything they asked of her. In that FaceTime call that we heard about in court, the last time she talked to her daughter, and she knew something wasn't right.
A doctor, you know, his own family was making reports as well alongside me.
We heard Uncle Kevin. Uncle Kevin was calling DCF, telling every family member he could.
Me all this information about what he's doing there, and nothing's happening. And it started even back then. Like, the report started back then when I was still having phone calls, like, and nothing happened. Nothing. And everybody knew he was getting high, including his family. Nobody did a thing. And it's like, there were people there. Like, there was only so much I could literally do, and I did everything I could, you know. But I had to survive myself. I didn't live in Manchester. I didn't live in New Hampshire. I lived in Boston. No vehicle. You know what I mean? Like, I did what I could with what I had. You know?
Yeah.
I really did.
All right. Crystal, it's going to be...
I believe her. Do you believe her? Let me know what you guys think.
We're going to take a short break, Crystal.
I missed what she said at the end, though.
Like, I did what I could with what I had. You know?
Yeah.
I really did.
All right. Crystal, it's going to be... We're going to take a short break, Crystal. Take a moment. Thanks again for joining us. Crystal's going to stay with us this hour.
So the fact that she didn't lift a finger to get her help, she did nothing, and then decided to just, well, not only that, but, you know, she laid down and got pregnant by him while my daughter was somewhere stashed in this house. That's a little part that everyone else seems to miss, is that she did have a third child a month before they got arrested in 2021.
Wait, say that again, Crystal? I don't think I heard that right.
So the fact that she didn't lift a finger to get her help, she did nothing, and then decided to just, well, not only that, but, you know, she laid down and got pregnant by him while my daughter was somewhere stashed in this house. that's a little part that everyone else seems to miss, is that she did have a third child a month before they got arrested in 2021.
She got pregnant while little Harmony was in the ceiling of the homeless shelter. I think I'm going to puke.
She had a daughter. Go figure, right? And so it's like, I think about all those pieces. Like, the only people that really think about though everything is me and my family, you know. A lot of people see what they see on social media or the TV or whatever, but like, I know these details, you know. So that right there is just disgustingly sick. Like, you watched him murder a child and then you laid down with him and had another baby. I'm
despicable. And
then, you know, the piece of, you know, her basically doing no time.
Yeah.
After she helped. No matter any way people want to put it, she helped. She helped conceal her body. She did nothing to lift a finger. She helped kill her, you know? So it's very hard for me to not have very serious anger towards her. And I wish the worst for her. I hope she never gets to be around another child again. You know what I mean? She doesn't deserve to be near her child. I never get to hold my baby again.
And we have Kayla, who had a headache and had to leave the courtroom. Meanwhile, little Harmony was punched in the head. If that's not sick in itself, I think if I was sitting there testifying in a trial where I saw a little kid get beaten in the head to death, that I wouldn't even have the audacity to even say I had a headache. I think I'd lie and say my stomach hurt, because that to me is just the epitome of not even understanding what really happened to Harmony Montgomery.
So she should never get to lay eyes on hers again. You know, they're
agree.
better off without her.
I agree.
110%.
I agree,
Those boys
Crystal.
are better off without her.
100%.
And you know, the fact too that, you know, the boys, they were there. They were right in that back seat with Harmony. You know, it's like,
she's evil.
What? You know, you know, and then she just sits up there and she knows that, like, her life is over.
What?
Crystal, I would be honored to speak with you about your daughter Harmony and getting the real story out there. If you're watching this, or someone that knows Crystal's watching this, I would absolutely be honored to hear your story and get all of, even if they're not so nice details. I think it's important, because even just hearing this little bit has really opened my eyes to the bigger picture here and what Crystal actually went through. Like, I went into this thinking one way, and now I'm coming out feeling a different way. And I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section.
You know what I mean? But I have a small, like, I kind of believe that she doesn't know where my daughter is, only because I know Adam. And, you know, he would say, I'm not going to take you to do this last thing in case you rat on me. I know he would say some.
So she believes that he would say some sick shit like that. Like, I'm not going to tell you where I'm going just in case something happens and you can't rat me out. Look at her face. He's a psycho. This dude is dangerous. And they put a 5-year-old in his care.
That does make sense.
Some weird.
It makes weird
You know what
sense
I mean?
from a man like that.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crystal, really appreciate you coming on tonight. I know Harmony was looking down, proud of you telling her story tonight that we have not heard. But our thoughts are with you, and our thoughts are with that little angel.
Look at her as a little baby.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Well, you guys are going to have to let me know. My heart breaks for her. I feel awful. I feel sick. I can't imagine. Well, I hope this gave you a different perspective like it did myself. Monday morning, Kayla will be back on the stand. Let me know if your thoughts have changed on Kayla as well after hearing this interview. I will see you guys bright and early Monday morning for day 4 of the Adam Montgomery trial. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.